So, dear students, today we are going to study about India from the 2nd century BC to 3rd century AD and the social and economic condition of India during this period. So, we learned that during this period in India, we had foreigners coming in. We had people from Greece coming and establishing a dynasty called as Indo-Greek dynasty in the northwest part of India. Likewise, we had the Sakas, the Parthians coming from Persia. We had Kushanas coming from Central Asia. So people had come from other places, and when they came, brought in their own culture, they brought in their own learning, they brought in their own intellectual development, and there was a fusion of culture, intellectual development, and learning of Indians along with the foreigners. And hence, this period had witnessed a vibrant social and economic condition. So we are going to learn about it now. As far as the social and economic condition is concerned, urbanization was a very important factor. This period saw an enhanced urbanization in the sense more and more places became urbanized, uh, especially in the field of construction. There were burnt bricks were used for flooring and roofing, and there were a lot of brick kilns, and there was also the use of red pottery. So urbanization was an important factor in this period. Likewise, economy and coinage, the trade and commerce improved. This period there was the introduction of better cavalry. India received good deal of gold from Altai Mountains. Altai Mountains is to the west of India, and people who came from the Central Asia and Persia, they had brought a lot of gold from this Altai Mountains. And likewise, Silk Route was very important place, had a very important place in this period. The trade, this Silk Route, every one of us know, was a route from China to Western world, which passed through Central Asia. And Kushanas were the first rulers to issue gold coins in India. Trade guilds known as Ganas existed. Caravan traders called Sartavaha involved themselves in brisk trading. Religion, the concept of religion during this time. Actually, as I told you, foreigners had come in large numbers, and in those days, Vaishnavism and Buddhism were the leading religions of India, and these foreign rulers had accepted Vaishnavism or Buddhism. For example, we have the Greek ambassador Heliodorus. Heliodorus was the Greek ambassador of Greek king Antiochus. Indo-Greek king Antiochus had sent his ambassador Heliodorus to the Sunga dynasty ruler Bhagabhadra. And this Heliodorus had accepted Vaishnavism and erected a pillar at Vidisa in Madhya Pradesh. Likewise, another Indo-Greek ruler, Menander, had accepted Buddhism. So, Indian religions were being accepted by foreigners. Likewise, there were many schools of Buddhism. Mahayana Buddhism became an important sect of Buddhism, and Jains too also had many religious orders. Uh, there was the Lokayatikas and Charvakas were referred to in the literature of the period. As I told you earlier, literature and learning was an important aspect of this period. Uh, when people came from other places, they had brought in their knowledge, and this knowledge had enhanced the knowledge of the Indians. As far as astronomy is concerned, the Greek contribution to development of Indian astronomy is great. Uh, Gargi Samhita is a book on astronomy, and this Gargi Samhita clearly acknowledges the role of Greece and Greeks in the promotion of astronomy in India. Likewise, foreign rulers who had come from other countries had patronized Sanskrit. So, because of their patronization of Sanskrit, uh, many scholarly works in Sanskrit were produced. Kushanas patronized many Sanskrit scholars, Ashwagosha, Vasumitra, Nagarjuna. Ashwagosha, we all know, wrote an important book called as Buddha Charita. Likewise, he also wrote Soundarananda. Another important work of Ashwagosha is Sariputra Prakarana, which is considered as the first Sanskrit play. Vasumitra wrote Prajnar Parmita, Sudra Shastra, Mahavibhasha. These were the books written by Vasumitra. Likewise, another important work of this period was written by Charak. Charak, we all know, was a very important scholar in medicine. He wrote his book Charak Samhita, which deals with various diseases and effective herbs to control the diseases. So, these are some of the important books, literary works of this period. So, dear students, as I told you earlier, um, see, your students and you need to gain a lot of inputs, lot of information regarding Indian history. You need to strengthen yourself, your knowledge on Indian history, and basically to strengthen your knowledge on Indian history, you need to work a lot. You need to have the habit of reading. There are various books on Indian history, and you need to have a good reading on Indian history. So there is no replacement for hard work. So what I would request you to is go take into the habit of reading. Become a voracious reader. Read a lot. Read a lot on various aspects of Indian history. Because in due course of time, you would be expected to do a presentation on your own on any one topic of ancient Indian history. One student would be doing Indus Valley civilization, one student would be doing Vedic age, one student would be doing Mauryas. So likewise, you need to do one full presentation. That is, one full presentation is in the sense it should be not less than 1 hour. So I request all the students to go for a voracious reading, listen to these presentations, make your own points, and give a good presentation at the end of the course, at the end of this semester. So I request all of you to have a voracious reading. Again, this presentation has been made with the help of the following books. Pramod Singh, UGC NetSet History of Truman Specific Series, published by Danika Publishing Company. Likewise, P.N. Chopra and others, A Contemporary History of Ancient India by Sterling Publishers. Likewise, the 11th Standard History Textbook of Government of Tamil Nadu.